Miss Rumphius by Barbara Cooney. The lupine lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The lupine lady is little and old, but she's not always been that way. I know. She's my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Alice who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads, the rows of ships, and carving Indians out of wood to put in front of cigar stores. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. He was very busy, and Alice helped him put in the skies. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I will go to faraway places too. I will live beside the sea when I grow old." "That is all very well, Alice," said her grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice. She did not know what she could do. In the meantime, Alice got up, washed her face, and ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school, she came home, and she did her homework. Pretty soon, she grew up. Then my great Aunt Alice set out to do 3 things she had told her grandfather she would do. She left home and went to live in another city far from the sea and the salt air. Then she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting all mixed up and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. People called her Miss Rumpus now. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park, and she stepped inside on a wintry day. The warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical isle," said Miss Rumpus, "but not quite." So Miss Rumpus went to a real tropical isle where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked on long beaches, picking up beautiful shells. One day she met Bapa Raja, king of a village. "You must be tired," he said. "Come into my house and rest." So Miss Rumpus went in and met Bapa Raja's wife. The Bapa Raja himself fetched a green coconut and cut a slice off the top so that Miss Rumpus could drink the coconut water inside. Before she left, Bapa Raja gave her a beautiful mother-of-pearl shell on which he had painted a bird of paradise and the words, "You shall always remain in my heart." "You will always remain in my heart, too," said Miss Rumpus. My great Aunt Alice Rumpus climbed tall mountains where snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "What a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumpus. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it's time to find my place by the sea." And it was. And she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumpus watched the sun come up. She watched it cross heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flowers in the stony ground. Miss Rumpus was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what?" "The world's already a pretty place," she thought, looking out over the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumpus was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window now, blue and purple and rose-colored. "Lupines," said Miss Rumpus with satisfaction. "I have always loved them the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could have still more flowers next year." But she was not able to do so. After a hard winter, spring came. Miss Rumpus was feeling much better now, and she could take walks again. One afternoon she started to go up and over the hill, where she had not been in a long time. "I don't believe my eyes!" she cried when she got to the top. For there on the other side of the hill was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. "It was the wind," she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my flower garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then Miss Rumpus had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. She sent off to the very best seed house for 5 bushels of lupine seeds. All that summer, Miss Rumpus, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over the fields and the headlands, sowing lupines. She scattered seeds across the highways and down the country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and back of the church. She tossed them into hollows and along stone walls. Her back didn't hurt her any more at all. Now some people called her that crazy old lady. The next spring there were lupines everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse and back of the church. Down in the hollows and along the stone walls grew the beautiful flowers. Miss Lupus had done the third, the most difficult thing of all. My great Aunt Alice, Miss Lupus, is very old now. Her hair is very white, and every year there are more and more lupus. Now they call her the Lupine Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupines. Then she invites us in. They come slowly. They think she's the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. That is all very well, little Alice, says my aunt, but there's a third thing you must do. What is it? I ask. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. But I do not know yet what that can be. This is Miss Rupus. What will you do to make the world a more beautiful place?